Hey guys, welcome to Kitaholic Kits YouTube channel. It's Corrine here today, and I've got a 12 by 12 layout for you with my December kit. So I've had this idea in my head for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I changed it halfway through a little bit. First I was going to do the reasons why I love my kids or whatever, one of them, or things I love about them or whatever, with those big wooden letters we got in the kit. As soon as I saw them, I knew that that's what I wanted to use them for. So I kind of changed it a little bit because I wanted to use, I had a picture of myself already printed, and I thought, oh well, I'll use that. And then I was going to name 9 things or 10 things it was supposed to be, but there was no extra ones, so changed again to 9 things. But yeah, there was a photo of me already printed, and I thought, oh well, I'll just use that, and 10 things about me that I love or whatever. And then it changed again to New Year's resolution type stuff, or things that I want to remember, to remind myself in 2018 or whatever. So yeah, it kind of changed on the way through, but the basic principle or the basic design stayed relatively the same. So silly me, forgot to number the back when I cut them up, so I had to go back and piece them all together so they'd fit properly. So it took a little while, but in the end it worked out fine. So I'm just going through now, and I'm tracing around some of the pattern papers with my circle pieces that I cut up. I just used a dinner plate, as you saw, drew around the edge, made the circle, and then I found the center of that circle and cut up, into sections or whatever, until I had 10 pieces. And see, I'm remembering this time to write on the back so that I don't forget. But anyway, I just go through all the different pieces, and I cut them out, pattern paper. Again, probably taking longer than it needs to, but that's right, because at the end of the layout, I absolutely love it, and everybody on the design team loved it as well, and that's that makes me happy, so whatever. So I'm just going through the pattern paper, figuring out which pieces I want to wear roughly, and putting them down. So I hope everybody's had a great Christmas. I'm a bit late at getting these videos done for Steph, as my daughter had to go through some intensive learning stuff at the end of last year, last minute, and it was really intensive, about 9 hours work a day, and then I had to do domestic duties on top of that, so it was a couple of weeks of just non-stop havoc, but it's all sorted out now, and she seems to be back on track. So sorry if I've been a little bit missing in action. So now I'm just laying them out in the circle where I'm going to put them down. And this was a layout that I decided to use everything I hadn't for a while. So I decided, oh, why not add some stitching on here, stitch some of the circles, I don't know what you'd call them, pieces of the circle, that'll do. The pie, that's what I keep looking at it and thinking it's pie that you've cut into little, pieces of pie. Yes. Trust me to think about food. But anyway, yes, I'm deciding that I don't want to sew all of them down, but I wouldn't mind sewing a few down and, just keeping it random kind of thing. So I'm just sticking them all down now. I think I just put only like a strip of glue in the middle for the ones that I'm just going to sew down later, and the other ones so I'm just going through now and checking which ones I've glued down completely or which ones I'm going to sew. And I confuse myself, but it's alright in the end. It works out. And the plan was to have it facing that way, but eventually when I'm finished I'll turn the paper around and use it a different way. So I'm just showing a little bit of my sewing here, not on all of them, just down each side of the pie piece. And not lifting, not taking it out, just stitching in one go, and then turning it around at the end, turning the page over at the end and making sure that you pull the threads through and stick them down. Oh, I didn't realise that the camera jumped a little bit while I was filming this. I haven't used my sewing machine for months and months. I couldn't even tell you, maybe March or February would have been the last time. I just don't have a lot of desktop space in my room, so if I want to sew on a layout I have to pull the whole thing out and set it up and plug it in, and it only takes 5 minutes, but with kids I'm already lacking in time as it is, and it's just can't be bothered sometimes. But I do love the effect that stitching has on layouts. As you can see, my stitching isn't very good, but it doesn't matter. I cover it up with bits and pieces here and there, and it's just an extra texture on the background, kind of like mixed media stuff. You're just adding to a background to make a whole piece, not making that just to stand out, if that makes sense. So I'm going to back it with this black card. I mean, I could have used something else, a black piece of cardstock or whatever, but I figure why not use it if it's in the kit. I don't use a lot of cards in that format. I think the horizontal, so the horizontal 3x4, so I thought, I'll use the hello on something else, which is why I cut the middle bit out and just back the photo like that. I wasn't planning on putting all of these flowers and whatnot around because it was already going to be busy with the numbers and everything, but I fussy cut all the flowers out of 1.5 12x12 sheets, so I figured I might as well use them. I love them, of course. So I just layered, used the ones that were cut off a little bit from the side of the paper, and I've just layered them underneath and then put my fawns on top. And then I added a doily and a bit of gold polka dot tissue paper, because it was there and it just needed something a little bit extra between those flowers and everything, and I'm glad I added it. It's probably a little bit of overkill on this layout. There is a lot going on. There's not a lot of white space, there's not a lot of room, and it's a lot busier and overcrowded than I would normally make a layout, but in the end I do like it, and it works. So if it works, then you might as well do it. And I fiddle around with this bloody flower because I don't want it to cover my face, but I don't want it to be too far on the pattern papers either, if that makes sense. So I fiddle, and I'm pretty sure I stick with that. Yep, and I'm just going to add some foam tape to top it up a little bit. So that'll take me a while. I don't have any sticky foam tape. I really need to get some, so I'm just using the fun foam that I got from Lincraft for really cheap. So I saved you from having to watch that because it took me ages making sure I got each one of those leaves. I mean, I didn't have to, but I'm a bit funny like that. I have to, make sure it's all perfect. So I'm going to go down and stick on my numbers now, and I make a mistake later, and I left it in for you guys to see, how I fixed it and whatever else. But we'll get to that. So I'm just going to go around and stick my numbers down. I wanted some in the centre, some out, some, all different places, nothing uniform. It's a random kind of thing. And then I wrote down some things about what I wanted to remind myself to do in the new year. Kind of resolutions, I don't like to call them that, but just things that I want to try and remember. So I started to write, here's my mistake, I started to write straight onto the layout, and I tried with labels and I didn't like it, and then I tried with my handwriting and just didn't stand out enough. So I've pulled out my typewriter, another thing that I haven't used in 12 odd months, because again, it's not set up on my desk all of the time. And like the sewing machine takes, 2 or 3 minutes to set up, even less than the sewing machine really, but when you're time poor, it's hard, you struggle. So I just thought I'd, use that to cover it up, and then I couldn't, so I had to go back and recut, because I stick down too well sometimes, I think. So I've just gone back and I've just retraced it, cut it out again. I didn't cut out the whole piece, just like that, so you can see I'm just shoving it under that little bit of the rose, just so it disappears underneath of the photo and stuff, so you can't even tell on the layout. You wouldn't even have a clue that I've just stuck another piece of paper on top. No idea. So, and then I much prefer this. Again, I could have written with my handwriting on to pieces of paper and then cut them and stuck them on there, but hey, this looks good too, and it works, and I really like the effect. So I've just gone and I've done 8 different little things, just things like spend quality time with the kids, practice gratefulness, push the boundaries. I have to have an elective surgery this year, which I'm looking forward to, and that's going to push me and my body and my mind and everything, so that I can have that done. So I wanted it to be the year for that. It's pretty important surgery, so I need it to save my life. So that's what's going to happen. So, and then I've got try new things, food, activities, and scrappy ideas. I like to try new scrapbooking techniques and projects and other things. Keeps it fresh and it keeps me interested, that's for sure. So I'm going to use this bottom pink one because I looked, I thought I had a number 1 somewhere in my stash. Turns out I didn't. So I'm just going to use this one down here as my title area. And the thickers are a little bit big, but I fit it in so that it looks pretty good, and I'm happy with it. So at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? So I'm going to call this one New Year's Eve 17 because, one, I made it on New Year's Eve, and two, it's fitting. I mean, the whole thing is about the last day of 2017, and you know what I want to see for 2018, and I just really happy with it. So I'm just going to stick down that, and I got some helpers as always. You know what it's like. So she's helping me pick up the letters, and then at the end I try to keep the embellishing minimal because I just don't want to add too much more to it. It's already very busy, and I didn't want to be sticking too much, everywhere. But I do embellish a couple of the spots, and my video does stop recording. My phone had filled up with memory because this literally took ages to film this. It's something like 3 hours, and my phone just couldn't handle all of it, so it will cut out, but there's plenty of pictures at the end for you to check out, and you'll be able to see all of the embellishing and everything in those. So I'm just using the puffy stickers and using some enamel dots from last month, and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I will struggle, try a lot of, not struggle, but try a lot of different things in different places and just see what looks best, and all of those fun things. So I try to use up a lot of this stuff. I really like these little words, but I have it's very hard with the clear words because the backing behind it really needs to be one colour, not patterned, because it doesn't, I don't know, it's hard to read and it distracts from the words. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, but there wasn't any room, so I just stick that back down and move on to the next thing. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and you've enjoyed Kitaholic's channel this year. We'll see you in the next year. Thanks for watching. Bye.